Today we'll learn about assembly projects as well as how to mate parts to create sections of a robot. You can use an assembly project to assemble parts of a robot. Let's begin by creating a new assembly project. Click New and select Assembly. We'll be using the short and outer C channels to demonstrate the mating tools in SOLIDWORKS. To begin, let's click Begin Assembly. Pin down the window and click Browse. Now we will locate and select the short and outer C channel from our SOLIDWORKS Education folder. Then simply click on each part and click the Assembly Project area to place the part. We shall insert 2 copies of each part to make the base of our robot. We'll use the Mate tool to assemble the parts that form the base. The Mate tool uses assembly constraints to assemble the parts. The assembly constraints include the point at which 2 parts connect and the relationship between the 2 parts. Before we can create our robot base using the Mate tools, we'll learn about the different standard mates and how to use them. Let's create a new assembly project. Import the bolt and nut parts provided to us and place them as shown in our design area. Then click Mate and select the coincident mate. Now select one outer planar face from each part. Notice that both faces are in the same direction. This is because the coincident mate adjusts both planar faces to be coincident and parallel. Now let's demonstrate the parallel mate. Select the parallel mate and indicate the 2 faces as shown. Notice that the bolt and nut shifted so that the 2 faces are now in the same direction. The perpendicular mate defines a 90-degree relationship between the 2 entities. Let's click on the perpendicular mate, select the 2 faces as shown, and observe that the 2 planar faces are now 90 degrees or perpendicular to each other. The tangent mate will mate together a line and a curve or a circle at a given point. The tangent mate is best demonstrated by selecting the 2 faces as shown and clicking on Tangent. Observe that the line touches the outer surface of the circle. The concentric mate allows the 2 entities to share the same axis, and it's usually used for circles. Select the 2 entities as shown and click on Concentric. Observe that our nut and bolt now appear to be mated together. It's because both circles now sit on the same center axis. Lastly, the distance and angle mate will create a specified distance or angle between the 2 selected entities. The Mate tool is found by clicking Assembly and selecting Mate. In the Entities to Mate box, we indicate which parts we want to mate. The number of parts must be 2 or more. We can select the parts by clicking on them in our assembly area or by locating them in our Feature Manager design tree and selecting them from there. Now we can create our robot base by using the mates we have just talked about, and we'll be using the relationships in the Standard Mates section. In the Entities to Mate box, select the vertical face of the outer channel and mate it with the bottom U face of the short channel. Then let's rotate our view and mate the short channel's back vertical face and the U face of the outer channel. Lastly, we'll mate the outside faces of both channels to complete half of our robot base. Another useful tool for mating is the Rotate View tool. We can find it by going to Assembly, Move Component, and Rotate Component. In the Rotate box, we can select how we want to rotate our component. In our case, we'll use the free drag and reposition the remaining 2 channels to make our mating easier. Now go ahead and complete the rest of the robot base by using the standard mates. Always remember that for any assembly project, there are countless ways to order our mates to construct the same base, so feel free to explore the different steps of mating to find your comfort zone. Note that SOLIDWORKS also provides an assortment of mates that are useful depending on the situation. Let's take a minute and review a couple of the important ones. Click on Mate, go to Advanced Mates. Here we can find the Symmetric and Width mate. The symmetric mate allows you to mate two similar entities to be symmetrical about a plane or planar face of the assembly. Similarly, the width mate is also found under Advanced Mates, and it is useful for mating parts that are not perfectly fitted. We have to identify and select the two outer faces of a part and mate it with the two inner faces of a different part to complete our mate. In this lesson, we learned how to use the different mates available in SOLIDWORKS to create sections of our robot.